We are live, I think.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's start. So, for all of you who are watching this streaming video cast on Facebook, a very warm welcome. And we are back with our monthly talk show with our guest, my friend Pratik Desai, who is from Mumbai. He is an accomplished businessman, and he has a very illustrious academic background also as a graduate student at one of the prestigious universities of the United States, known as the University of Florida. He's a spiritualist who has spent over a decade practicing and teaching people to live a life centered on the principles enunciated in the Bhagavad Gita and the legendary philosophical treatise called Srimad Bhagavatam through the medium of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Given the depth of his understanding of the subtleties of our existence, Pratik is probably the go-to person for unraveling the mysteries of this life. And we always bring up, we always come up with some topics that are of relevance or that cause curiosity in the minds of most of us. Today we have an interesting topic. The topic per se is how is the process of bhakti yoga, or in short we say bhakti, a scientific process of self-realization. So we are going to discuss about this topic and kind of try to understand, analyze it from like different viewpoints, so that we get a very clear understanding of why should one practice bhakti with understanding of like the the specifics or the mechanism of how it helps one kind of uncover their core truth or their core essence or their the reality of their existence. So we're going to have this discussion with Pratik, and I want to start with a question actually. So Pratik, I have a question. Even before we get into the discussion, so can you help us understand what is self-realization first of all, before we even talk about process of attaining it? What is self-realization?
Okay. Thank you, Aritra, for inviting me once again. And it's always an honor and a privilege to be a part of the show. So, yeah, the question about self-realization. This is a question which I think each and every living entity should ask. At least a human being should ask this, and this is what the scripture also say. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire about the absolute truth. So when we inquire about the absolute truth, it means that we also inquire about ourselves. Who are we, and who is the absolute truth? So because definitely we have a source. There is no possibility that we have come from nowhere, right? So that's why, and obviously we also would like to know the purpose of coming to this material world. What is the purpose we are here? Because things are not random in this material world. In our entire lives, we do things which are reasonable, which are sound, which are logical to us, and which has a purpose, which has a meaning, and it is justified. So if there is something that is not justified in our life, then we react to it. We react very strongly, and we want to justify things. That's a natural tendency of a human being. That's why Athato Brahma Jigyasa means that now it's the time to inquire about yourself and the absolute truth. So this is the process of self-realization. This is actually the definition of self-realization, which means that because we know the gross body is going to go away at some point of time, it's not going to be there with us. We are not going to experience the gross body or anything which is connected to the material world. We are not going to be there forever. We are not eternally there. So that means we are, and we also know that it's because of the consciousness that we feel pain in our body, right? So when we die, no matter whatever you do with the body, we are not going to experience anything, because, and even like, when you go in the state of coma, you'll not be able to realize anything, or especially when you become unconscious. So that's why when we are operated, so when it is a very painful operation, the doctors will give anesthesia before that, and that anesthesia, because of that, you will not experience pain. So one thing we can understand, that we are not the body. It is a consciousness which is actually making us feel that we are, that sensation of pain is because of the consciousness inside ourselves. So what is that consciousness? That consciousness is actually Atma. Everyone knows that. And because the Atma is there in the body, that's why the body is active. That's why the body is experiencing the pains and pleasure of this life. So we are not the body, then who are we? And the answer is that we are the spirit soul, or we are consciousness. So this is actually self-realization. Now, obviously, it can also indirectly mean that we all would like to also know about the absolute truth, because when, if you are soul and if you're not the body, then the next question is that who does the soul belong to, and how the soul came into this material being in existence, right, in this material world. So these are the questions that come along with understanding what is the meaning of self-realization. Without that, you cannot actually understand who we are. So, thinking that the soul also came into existence from nowhere, that's also similar to saying that the body also came from nowhere. So then what is the difference between soul and the body? It is the same thing. It becomes a material element. But we know that it's not a material element, because there is a presence of a consciousness. The consciousness pervading the entire body, and that's how actually we can understand that we are different from the body. Okay. So yeah. So self-realization basically means to know who you are, and to also know the source of yourself.
Okay. So when people are asked this question, who we are, the first response is usually in terms of the name of the person, and their whereabouts, their address, like where they live, what they do, and what are their preferences. So according to your definition, this is relative. This is not really self-realization. Is that right? There is something deeper. You mentioned soul. So this identity that normally people would very spontaneously give out, it is not really their actual identity. Is that a correct understanding?
It's very simple to understand. It all depends on your existence in this world. If you are eternal being, then that becomes your identity, because it is always going to be there. And if it is not going to exist after some time, then how is that going to be an identity? So it's a simple thing, because we know, and the problem is that you don't even know how long you're going to live. It's not necessary that a child is going to live for another 50, 60, 80 or 90 years or 100 years. A child can also die any point of time, and a old person can live longer. We don't know that. So what we know for sure is that we are always controlled by someone. Without being controlled, who wants birth that old age disease? Who wants to die? Who wants to have disease? And who wants to become old? No one wants to become. Everyone wants to live a very happy life forever and youthful life. No one wants to experience pain. So that means even if I have everything in this world, but there is a power beyond me which is controlling me, because ultimately I have to yield to that power. I have to accept. Even if though I don't want to die, I don't want disease, I don't want to suffer in this world, but still I have to accept it. as part and parcel of life, because it's not beyond, it's not, I mean, it's beyond my control, right? So, so one thing we can clearly understand, if things are beyond our control, then the question is that who is controlling us? And just because we are not eternal identities. So obviously the soul is eternal. I mean, we understand from Bhagavad Gita that the soul is eternal. It can never die at particular point of time. It has never come into existence actually. It is forever. It is always existing. And then it can never be withered, or it can never be burned. It can never be cut into pieces, you know. So the soul is always eternal, and the soul can never die at a certain point of time in the future. That's how we know that the soul is eternal, but the soul is actually taking bodies, gross body, subtle body. Just like, you know, we are wearing the at the gross level, we are wearing t-shirts or shirts or whatever it is, and then depending on the circumstances, we keep changing dresses, right? But so similarly, the soul is also going to accept different bodies depending on the consciousness of that particular living entity. So you know, the soul is going to change its dress. Now the thing is that we know that we are always, I mean, when we change dress, we are at least aware of things that we are doing. But when we change bodies, we are not aware of our previous lifetimes. So that is covered to us. We are, I mean, somehow we forget about our previous lifetimes, and there is a good logical reasoning for that, you know, because it's not that we have taken only one birth or two births or three births in the previous life. We have been taking millions of births. So which particular lifetime you would like to, and somehow prove that I did some sinful activity in the previous life, that's why I'm actually bearing the reaction for that in this life. You cannot say that, because your entire karmic cycle is accumulation of your previous lifetimes. It is not that okay, only one lifetime karma you are facing it now. It's a multiple lifetime karmic reaction that you are getting in this life. It's a mixture of everything. So because, as we have discussed in our earlier class, uh, when you perform a particular activity or particular karma, it's not necessarily the reaction will get over in this lifetime. Like for example, if you commit a sinful activity, okay, a very grievous sinful activity, then the scriptures say that you'll have to face that the reaction for this grievous activity in multiple lifetimes, for multiple times, not just one lifetime. It's a punishment that is awarded by the laws of nature. Okay, and why it is awarded? So that people can be reformed. They can come to their senses. They cannot exploit other people. So the reaction is very severe. Like for example, you see that in the Middle East countries, if you steal, then they will cut off your head. Whereas you steal in India, you may be fined for it, and you may be put behind bars, but they will not cut your hand. So depending on the different countries, they have different rules, and you'll see that some countries they have very strict rules, extremely strict. And you may even think that okay, these rules are inhuman. You know, it does not make sense. You just cut off the hand of someone who is stealing for the first time. You don't even give him a chance. So there are very perfect rules which are created by God in this particular world, which will, for that you'll have to suffer multiple times, multiple lifetimes. Okay, and that's why it is wrong to say that I would like to remember my past life. There are many millions of previous lifetimes. Okay, so it is not possible that we remember all the lifetimes in this life. I mean, first of all, in to be in the material world, to earn money, to have family, it's a big task. You know, material world is full of suffering and misery. So, and on top of that, if you remember your previous lifetimes, then you can just imagine what kind of mental torture and pain you will be undergoing. Plus, you will also know that okay, one of your relatives, you know, he may be your enemy in the previous life. And in the scripture, it is also stated that someone who has, you know, if you have actually harassed someone in the previous life, okay, then that person becomes a relative in the next life. So because relatives are very close to each other, okay, and only a person who is close can actually trouble you. So obviously it won't be a direct kind of a trouble, but it can be different ways because the relation is very close and you are so attached. So it can come up like that. Uh,
Okay, so you
so that's why which is eternal is actually the soul,
okay
and the identity completely depends on the soul. It does not belong to the external factors.
okay. By external factors, you mean the material nature. The external
I mean,
factors would be like the
material,
body,
yeah,
yeah,
the body, the gross body.
the gross body.
Like you were
Okay,
saying, that okay,
um,
my name is Aritra, and I am living in uh, you are in India now, right? Currently, and
why? Fine, yeah.
I work in some IT company like that, so on and so forth. But see, one thing is very clear: when you were born, you did not even have a name. You got a name after some time. Okay, so these things are temporary things, and obviously it will go away with your death. So it's a temporary identity, but it is not eternal identity. And on the basis of that, we cannot say that this is your real identity. I think Rajiv ji has a question.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I had a query that today's topic is this. Can we say Bhakti is scientific? Correct? Isn't that the topic?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So now the explanation that you have given so far to make us understand that how karma works and it is over lifetimes. Now, it sounds, it seems logical as a philosophy, but when we talk of scientific, so we usually refer to the world of science, the modern science, and scientists. Now, how are they to reconcile with these things? Because there is no way in it can be proven by the
Empirical
scientific
means.
processes that we understand, right? Now, I mean, we have to approach this on a like see in our philosophy we hear the word Bhakti Vedanta. Now, that which signifies that Bhakti starts where Vedas end. जहाँ वेदों का अंत होता है वहाँ भक्ति शुरू होती है. Now, Veda is all about science, logic, but Bhakti they say starts where Vedas end. So then how can we bring Bhakti into the realm of science? I mean, maybe it is not the science that we understand, and this is some other type of science, right?
Yeah. So, okay. See, now obviously, like Aritra started with the question of the identity. So I was just explaining about the self-realization and what is our original identity instead of being temporary identity. And yeah, the topic for the day is obviously understanding Bhakti as a part of science. How Bhakti is actually a scientific process. Now let's go to the definition of science. Do you know what is the definition of science? Any one of you?
Science is, I would understand, it is the process, to understand the process by which uh, we see events unfolding in front of us and we are able to explain it and prove it, and there is evidence, and then that process can be replicated everywhere. So if for example we say that there is a laboratory test that we are carrying out, then remember we used to write journals where we had an aim, then we had a procedure, and then we had a conclusion, and then that was established and it could be replicated everywhere once those conditions are followed and the same procedure is followed. So then that becomes established and it becomes scientific, and anybody can do it. There is no special qualification as such required. The only thing is we have to follow the procedure. That's all.
Okay. Okay. Any other definition?
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with Rajiv. And what he's saying, Rajiv ji is saying that it's about observing some phenomena and then like uh, observing it once and coming up with like a hypothesis and then testing the hypothesis through repeated trials or through trying to observe it at other places and see if it's like something that's like consistently achievable, like a result or an effect that's like consistently achievable. So that is how, I mean, that's what he said. I just tried to like kind of short, like make it a little more brief. So it's about something that's that you observe and then you can like experiment, and then like if the results are repeatable, it's a fact.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I would like to read some definitions given in the Oxford dictionary or other dictionaries also. So in the Oxford, it is mentioned the study of and knowledge about the physical world and natural laws. Then other definitions, Britannica, it is mentioned any system of knowledge that is concerned with the physical world and its phenomena, and that entails unbiased observations and uh, systematic experimentation. Okay, observation experimentation, you can say like that. Yeah, I mean, and then there is another definition which I just went through in the Wikipedia. It's a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions about the universe or whatever it is. Yeah, so these are some of the definitions, and I think the common definition or the common words that are used in the explaining the meaning of science is that it is observable, it should be observable, it should be testable and experimented, basically.
But there's also one thing about these
So
definitions. There's
yeah,
also one thing about the
there
definitions
are
that you were reading. They talk about like about the physical world. But what you're saying, what you were explaining about the soul, about our eternal existence, these do not seem to be consistent with what the physical world is, because physical world, everything has a
no,
beginning and an
it
end.
also included the there's also the inclusion of the natural laws. So you may have, see, it's not necessary that science is only dealing with the physical phenomena around us, because there are many things that you cannot see, you cannot observe minutely. Okay, I mean, obviously scientists also, they have refined their knowledge over a period of time and they're still doing it. It's not something that they have revealed the facts as they are, and they have gone to the uh, depth of the subject matter. Like for example, even if you say gravity is existing, we know that it's an attraction. Okay, now where does the attraction come from and what is the cause of that attraction? Okay, so certain questions are not answered by science also. It's just that, okay, now how the world came into existence, there are various theories for that. One of them is Big Bang theory, which is also not accepted by everyone, because everything coming from nothing, it seems very weird, and there is no scientific explanation also. It's not verified completely. So there are theories which are put forward, but they are not completely established with facts and figures. Okay, so now see, whatever it's so basically science includes physical phenomena as well as natural laws. So at least natural laws, uh, you know an entire spiritual science can fit into natural laws, because it is the natural law, whether you believe or not, it is going to happen, right? I mean, obviously, let's, no matter whether we know about gravity or not, if you are going to throw an object, it is going to fall down. If someone is going to jump, they are going to fall down. So there is a natural law which is existing. Okay, so based on that, we are going to actually continue with the explanation of the process of bhakti scientific, because bhakti is a phenomena. It's a natural phenomena. It's not something which is physical in nature. Okay, now it's a sentiment also at the same time. So sentiment is obviously it's a hidden emotion. You cannot
Quantify sentiment.
you may display it externally. You may display your emotions and everything externally, but it's not that, okay, if I tell you show me bhakti, then you cannot show bhakti to others, right? It's a hidden thing. So you can only display it using your symptoms, whatever expressions you are giving to me. I can understand that, okay, Aritra is happy with me, he's angry with me, he's not feeling well. So these are all external manifestation of the sentiments and emotions that you are undergoing. Okay, so similarly, bhakti has symptoms, and that is a natural law. So these natural laws are already defined in the scriptures. And when we are experiencing those emotions and symptoms, we can also confirm that, okay, whatever we have heard and seen in the scriptures, we have read in the scriptures, these are all coming true. It's an observable fact. It's an experimented truth. So science also means that you experiment something. You don't reject things. Whatever comes, you have to experiment it. You have to be open-minded to actually experiment things. You cannot just say that, okay, bhakti does not exist because it's not there. This is something that I feel. It's not true because I cannot see it. No, then there are many things in the physical realm also which you cannot see. Like, you talk about quantum physics and all that, quantum mechanics. You can't even see all these things when you are explaining from that level, from that perspective. You can't even see these things. And then obviously the reasons why the entire universe is moving around in a particular pattern and in a natural law system. So we have Newton's law of motion, we have Kepler's law also, we have different laws, and that's how every particular system is organized in the universe. So how can it be organized automatically? I mean, we don't observe that thing, right? But still we believe that. So there is a lot of harmony and organization in nature that we are not seeing it. But I mean, the cause, we are not seeing it. We don't know what is the cause of that, but we accept it because we are able to see that fact. Okay. The reasoning is not yet revealed to us. Why, when, and why, and how it happened. These things are not explained to us, but we are able to see those facts. And so similarly, when we, so there are symptoms of bhakti, there are stages of bhakti, which is already described in the scripture. And if you start with faith and if you experiment the process, then you will see the result also. So now, how can something, see, if I tell you that, Aritra, if you do this, then you will get this kind of reaction or this kind of response, okay, from nature. It means that either I have designed and I'm the controller, okay, of that particular thing. If I'm not the controller, how can I tell you for sure that it is going to be like this only, right? So without being the controller, without being designing the entire system, I cannot tell you for sure that if you do this, then you will get this kind of response or reaction. That is not possible for anyone, because we cannot control ourselves. We cannot control our own birth and old age disease. How can we control others? It means that there is, as I was saying, that we are all controlled by someone, by superior power. And so that superior power is actually designing, he is writing some laws. And if we follow those laws, then we'll see the result. So similarly, in a subtle level, there are some natural laws. If we follow that, then we'll also see the results. So there are stages of bhakti, and obviously people say that, okay, first show me God. In order to believe in him, first show me God. But this is not a valid kind of argument, because let's assume, even if you don't believe that there is a God, the thing is that if you want to know the process, then you have to accept that there is an absolute controller, supreme controller, and that supreme controller does not want him to reveal himself. Let's assume that you assume that, even if you do not believe it completely. Start with a little experimentation. Okay, so just believe that, just somehow accept the fact that there is a supreme person who does not want to reveal himself. Now, he has given a path. If you follow the path, then he will reveal himself to us. So why can't you experiment that? And then later you can ask him why you are not revealing yourself to us in the beginning. So see, this revelation of the Lord, or basically it means that you can see the Lord directly with your material eyes. This does not happen only in Kali Yuga. In previous yugas it used to happen, in Dwapar Yuga, in Satyuga and Treta Yuga. So there was no question of asking this question. This question arises only in Kali Yuga because we cannot see the Lord directly. Does it mean that he does not exist? I mean, there are so many things that we cannot see, but they are existing. So basically, if you follow a set of natural laws, you will see the result of that. Now, in the scripture, it is clearly and nicely explained by all the great saintly personalities that there are different stages of bhakti. You begin with Shraddha, then you go on to, Shraddha means faith, then you go on to Sadhu Sang, which means that you have some faith and then you associate with devotees. Okay, and then the devotees will actually explain to you the process, how they have realized the truth in their own development. Okay, it's not that someone who has started performing devotional service to the Lord will see the Lord immediately. No, it takes time, and the Lord can be seen at the state of bhav. So let me first just mention the 9 stages. So these are Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. Now, in amongst the 9 stages, it is only at the state of Bhav and Prem that you can actually see the Lord and interact with him. And below that, below the state of Bhav, you cannot actually directly interact with the Lord. You cannot see the Lord because you are not completely purified. You are not completely free of contamination. So, and the nature of the Lord is completely spiritual, whereas we are material. So the Lord wants us to become spiritualized completely. Only with spiritual eyes one can see the Lord. Okay, now this is something that the Lord wants in Kali Yuga for all the conditioned soul to follow. So at least this much we should accept. If someone cannot just say that, okay, just because Lord is not visible does not mean that, okay, he does not exist. Well, he has given a path, he has given a process, you follow that process, and then you will understand over a period of time that he is existing very much. Because once you start from Shraddha, which is faith, okay, and then you proceed to Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha means obviously association with similar minded people. Now, let's take the example of Adani. He's currently the richest person in India. So if you want to meet Adani, it's not that he's going to appear before you. And obviously, you know that you cannot demand Adani to appear before you, unless and until you want to see him.
What was the name?
Adani. Yeah. So if you want to meet him, if you want to see him personally, then you have to prove yourself to him. Okay. Or at least you have to be his relative, one of his relatives. Then also it is possibility that he can appear before you without any demands or conditions. But if you want to see and meet him as a common man, then obviously you have to prove yourself to Adani. So the idea is that first you will start with faith that, okay, I have faith that one day I will be able to meet him. And then you go and connect with people who can arrange a meeting with him. right? So you'll go to people who will be able to organize a meeting with him, and you will start inquiring from him, from all these people, that what is the process, what is the method, how I can meet him, what is the chance. So they will guide you. They will tell you different ways you can meet him, what is required and all that. So that is called sadhu sangha. So devotees also will tell you how to practice the path of bhakti. And then is bhajan kriya. Bhajan kriya means actual implementation of the instructions that you receive from the devotees or from the person who are guiding you, so you can meet Arani in the future. Okay. So you meet these people and they will tell you the process, and then obviously you have to implement the process. So you have to work hard for it. So now that starts with bhajan kriya. Bhajan kriya means you start implementing whatever instructions you have received. So you start chanting the holy name, you start associating with devotees, you start meditating on the pastimes of Lord, you hear about him, and you serve him. All these are the bhajan kriya process. And because of these things, when you start practicing, implementing, then anartha nivritti will happen. Anartha nivritti, see, you cannot approach the Lord because he's completely pure. And in order to approach something which is pure, you have to become pure also. So a person, that's why demons, they cannot approach the Lord, they cannot see the Lord. And in Kali Yuga, practically everyone is a demon. Okay, externally we may be good people, but internally we know that Ravan, Kumbhakarna, then Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they are all residing within. See, in Kali Yuga, all the demons, they reside within. Okay. In Trita Yuga, you'll see that in Satyuga, they were in different families. Then you'll see that somehow in Dwapar Yuga, they were in the same family. Like, Dhritarashtra, Pandavas, they were all in the same family. And in Kali Yuga, all these demons, they reside within our heart. Okay. That means that we have so much tendency of lust, anger, envy, greed, pride. Okay. And obviously, without eliminating these qualities, how can you expect to see a perfect person or a pure person? It's not possible. That's why you have to become free from these tendencies. Get rid of all these tendencies. Then you can actually see the perfect person, the most pure person. So after this, you have to undergo a lot of struggle. So, like, if you want to meet Adani, then you follow the path process, and then you will undergo a lot of struggle because you have to work very hard. You have to show your dedication and sincerity. So this is the path of anartha nivritti, and then finally you become steady in your practices of bhakti. So that means that now you have attained a certain platform where your steadiness, your hard work is going to attract the superior people to help you. So now what happens is, generally when a person works very hard with dedication, sincerity, honesty, then the seniors, they will notice that, and then they start recommending you to advance further. Okay. So similarly, once you are at the stage of nishtha, which means steadiness, that in spite of all the obstacles, you are not living, your determination is very strong. You are continuing forward. You are not going to go back now. Okay. In spite of all the obstacles, challenges, you have become steady in your practices and your efforts. Then it will attract higher power. So that means after Nuchi, after Nishtha comes the stage of Ruchi. So the result of being steady is that you start getting taste for performing that activity. It becomes very natural for you. It becomes, you are always happy to perform that activity because you get taste for it. And through that taste, gradually you come to the state of attachment. You are so attached to the path, you are so attached to the practices that now very soon you will be able to receive the fruit of it. So then after the stage of asakti, because you go for ruchi to asakti, asakti is the state of attachment, and then from attachment you go to the stage of symptoms. Now see, it's a very logical sequence, because how means, unless until you are attached to a person, how can you express your emotions? How can you be emotional? How can you display your symptoms? So once you get attached to the path, the process, Only after that you will actually see the process that you're following. So that becomes at the stage of bhav. Now at this particular stage, the Lord becomes very attracted to you, and he wishes to reveal himself to you because you have shown your dedication, you have shown your attachment, you have shown your love to the Lord. So at this particular stage, the Lord will appear before you. That's the first step of realization, to see the Lord. And even at the state of asakti, when you are having intense attachment for the Lord, that state also you'll sometimes see the Lord appear like a flash and then disappear. Okay. And then at the state of bhav, you can see the Lord. And then obviously at the state of prema, when you have full love. So bhav is compared to the bud of the flower, and then the flower itself, and prema is compared to the fruit of the flower, which is basically the different types of fruits that we have in a tree. So that is a full manifestation of our love. That is the stage of prem. Okay, and that particular stage you can actually enter the kingdom of the Lord. So these stages, they are all scientific, because these can all be experienced and it can all be observed with time. And there are certain symptoms along with these stages which you can experience directly. That's why in the Bhagavatam also it is mentioned that one who is practicing the path of devotion, so three things will develop simultaneously: direct experience, detachment, and devotion to the Lord. So your devotion to the Lord will increase, your detachment towards the material goals and desires will also increase, and thirdly, your direct experience with the Lord will increase, which means that now in all the stages, right from Shraddha to Prem, the reciprocation of the Lord you'll always experience. There is no point of time where you will not experience the reciprocation of the Lord. But the reciprocation is not visible to us at the lower stages. That's the only difference. Whereas in the beginning stages, the reciprocation is indirect. It is more of impersonal in nature, because you cannot see the Lord directly. But at least you can experience the arrangements of the Lord. Like, for example, if you desire that, oh my Lord, I would like to serve you in a particular way, and the Lord will fulfill your desire. Okay, and you may have a material desire also, the Lord will fulfill your desire. So, and then there are certain arrangements you can clearly experience. Okay, when you want to serve the Lord, there are certain obstacles in the service, then the Lord will also remove those obstacles. Okay, so that you can, obviously it should be your intense desire also. No matter what happens, you continue your service. That should be your desire. If you have the desire, the Lord will remove obstacles also. All these things, it's a matter of self-experience. I can share certain examples, but ultimately people, they have to experience those things personally.
This is a very important point, actually. This is a very important point that you mentioned, that, that I think we should reiterate that this is a process that is individually, that needs to be individually experienced. It's not possible, and it's not going to be convincing if, like, we see someone else and, like, what someone else is saying, just try to go by that. It may be like an inspiration, but one has to experience. Like, anyone will agree with this. Yeah.
That means it is very personal. It is very personal, and it cannot be simply be tested by anyone sitting at any place, because he will have to qualify himself for the result, and so he'll have to go through the process himself. So it is possible that two people side by side, one having gone through the process, one not having gone, one will be able to converse with Lord at a personal level. The other person may think that he's gone crazy. Who's he talking to?
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. The problem is that not many people, they are taking this path. It's very rare people who are actually taking this path, and that's why you'll see that majority of the people, they are asking for a direct evidence, and they don't want to pay the price for it. Basically, the problem is because when you want to practice spiritual life, you have to take time out of your busy schedule, and you have to also give it a priority. So how many people want to do like that? Because most of the people, they would like to enjoy in the material world. That's the main priority. And if you tell them that, okay, now experiment the process, then that means that they have to give up certain things. Okay. And they have to invest that much time. So not everyone is going to be doing that. Everyone is looking to enjoy in the material world, although they do not know that actually the enjoyment that we attain in the spiritual realm is much greater than what we actually attain in the material realm. But still, because of people's own choice, their own hesitation to cultivate the path, they will not be able to do it. But one thing is very clear. I will tell you one thing. I don't think any person would just waste their time if they are not getting any result out of it. Because time is very precious for individuals. And then who is going to experiment also? See, those who are really determined, those who are serious in life, those who are hardworking, only they are going to actually experiment this process. Those who are lazy, those who are too much attracted to sense gratification, they are not going to take it up because they cannot lead a life of discipline. It's very difficult for them. So whoever is damn serious about the path, or they would like to know, or they would like to experience God's restoration in their life, they are very serious about it, they will only experiment. And in the experimentation process, it's not just when you come in contact with a lot of people around you, those who are practicing the path, you can easily understand by their symptoms, by the way they are talking, by the way they are acting, by the way they are expressing joy outwardly, right? You can understand how happy the devotees are when they are performing devotional service. So if they are not satisfied, they are not happy, and they think that this is something bogus, I mean, even after performing the experiment, they are not getting the result, who is going to continue that? No one is a fool here. Like, people are quite intelligent to understand that, okay, whatever path they are accepting, it is because they are moving forward because they have experienced certain things. So without getting restoration from the Lord, it is not possible that anyone can follow the path. And this same principle applies in all aspects of life also. Okay, and all aspects of other religions also. Like, this particular shloka from the Bhagavad Gita is a universal principle. Ye tamam prapadante tam sataiva bhajamiham mam vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvasa. That as people approach me, I reward them accordingly. Now, the Lord is so kind that even if they follow other religions or their own paths, the Lord will reciprocate with them also by different means. It's not going to be the same. Okay, the reciprocation is not going to be the same. The way a demon is going to approach the Lord, the way an atheist is going to approach the Lord, and a devotee, there is a lot of difference. Okay, but even to the demons and to the atheist, the Lord will reciprocate. So that is the speciality of the Supreme Lord. And this reciprocation you will also see. Now, see, it is not, the idea is that people want evidence, people want to see God, but the idea is that a devotee does not want to see God. A devotee wants to serve the Lord. And there are so many examples given by great saintly personalities, and they say that in the previous lifetimes, demons could also see the Lord. They could also exchange respiration with the Lord. But what was the effect? There was no effect. There was no transformation in them. So to see the Lord actually means to serve the Lord. Even if the Lord will appear before everyone, how many of us will completely surrender to the Lord at that point of time? We'll have reservations. Even as devotees also, there are different categories of devotees. We know Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama. Uttama may surrender instantaneously. But what about the Kanishta and Madhyama? No, we have so many attachments. The Lord will appear before us. He will ask, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. How many dharma will surrender? I don't think so. We'll have our own attachments. We want to enjoy the material world also. So the question is not why people want to see the Lord. The question is that how much you want to serve the Lord. That is important. And if you serve that is what the Lord is actually asking all of us to do. You serve the Lord, and once you start with serving the Lord, and then you will see the Lord. So seeing the Lord is not so important. That's why Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to say that it's not so important whether we see the Lord. It is important if the Lord will see us through our service. Okay, so this is what the Lord has actually made a law in Kali Yuga that first serve, then demand. It's not, first demand and then you'll see like immediately. There's no question of demanding the Lord to appear. It is like, you serve the Lord first. And then it is only because in Kali Yuga, we have lost that qualification of seeing the Lord. And even if we see the Lord, it's not that we are going to become devotees of the Lord. That is what we have to understand. So, Jiva Goswami, he says that actually the demons, they did not see the Lord. They saw the reflection of the Lord. In the Sandarbhas, Jiva Goswami explains this point, that they did not see the Lord. Duryodhan did not see the Lord. He saw the reflection of the Lord. And the process for seeing the Lord is very clearly given in Bhagavatam, in all the scriptures also, which is pure devotional service. Primanjan Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Sham Sundar Achinta Guna Swarupam Govindam Adim Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Primanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, with the eyes full of prem, Bhakti Vilochanena. Only with the eyes of devotional service you can actually see the Lord. If you don't have bhakti, if you don't have love for the Lord, you cannot see. Without prem, you cannot see the Lord. Very clear. And bhakta mam abhijanati yavan yoshchasmi tattvataha. Okay, so bhakta mam abhijanati. There is no other way to see the Lord or to experience the Lord other than devotional service to the Lord. Devotional service is the only way to see the Lord. Right? So this is what the Lord has demonstrated very clearly in his pastimes. The demons, they never saw the Lord. They actually saw his reflection. They could not perceive the Lord clearly. So to the degree a person will serve the Lord, to that degree the Lord will reveal himself to us. That's a prerogative of the Lord. Now, now you can ask the question that, okay, why the Lord is doing like this in Kali Yuga? Why not in previous Yuga? And the answer is because of our sinful activities in the previous lifetimes. So if you, obviously, when you keep committing sinful activities, do you expect that you will see something which is very pure? No, you will go further away from something which is pure. You cannot expect, like for example, a father will give you instructions, and he will tell you the do's and don'ts. Okay, so if you keep doing the do's, the father will be pleased, and if you keep doing the don'ts, the father will be repelled from you. He will be offended also many times. If it is a grievous sin or if it's a grievous activity, painful activity to others, the father is not going to be satisfied. He's not going to feel the bliss and happiness. So the father will withdraw himself. He will break that relationship. So similarly, when we commit sinful activities for a prolonged period of time, the father has a right to break that relationship. Or in other words, it can also mean he will not be visible to us. So in Kali Yuga, there are so many people, there are so many living entities who have lost that qualification, and because of that, the Lord is not visible. Okay, but at the same time, the Lord is also giving the process. He's also giving the opportunity to rectify ourselves so we can see the Lord. The only thing is whether you want to experiment or not. So this is very important. And then we can also observe reciprocation is always there in even so in the material realm also. You'll see the fact that when you are experimenting certain things and then you get a result, when see, all these laws are naturally present. It's not that they were created or they were discovered by someone, right? They are discovered, sorry, they are not created, they are not invented. These laws, they were already there in the beginning. So now, who has created those laws? That's the question mark. So scientists, whatever they are doing, they are using those laws, they are testing it, they're experimenting, and they are seeing the results. And the thing is that some results are observable, some are not. But still, because it is satisfying certain laws, it is, according to a particular law, it is, the results are coming like that. like for example, F equal to ma, force equal to mass into acceleration, and that's a observed phenomena which is also proved scientifically. I mean, in labs, to the amount you have, the more the mass, the more acceleration, the more force is required in order to accelerate, right? If the mass is more, then obviously you require more force in order to accelerate more. So all these laws, they are coming up because it's a natural system. It's not something that they have created. The scientists, they have not invented something. So the Lord is reciprocating in the material world also, you see, by the phenomena of providing natural laws. So for each and every person, the Lord is reciprocating. And how can someone reciprocate if that is not a person? Okay, I mean, we have never observed, we have never seen anything which reciprocates and which is nothing. We have never observed that phenomena. So how do you expect that when there is a reciprocation, okay, from nature? People call it nature, some people call it nature, but in fact, the reciprocation can only happen from a person. So, so basically the idea is that you have to start with the faith, small faith, and then your faith will also increase with time. Yeah, without this principle, if you do not believe in God, even after explaining the scientific process of bhakti, if you do not believe in God, I think it will be very difficult, much more difficult to accept the fact that you are suffering in this world without any reason. Because a person who does not believe in God, it means that he does not believe in karma. He does not believe in the soul. And it means that he is accepting aspects of life which are unjustified. And that is very painful to live with. We are just controlled by someone without any reason. And why are we controlled? Why someone is controlling us? When we know that we have individuality, we have free will, and we don't like to be controlled by someone, why are we being controlled by something?
And such kind of people, like we know there is a group called nihilist or nihilism, which they believe that everything is random, that there is no causation, like there is no reason, like like a factual reason behind the whatever is happening in the world. And so they kind of create more commotion in the world. Like this group is they are the ones who actually create a lot of trouble in the world, because they feel that everything is random.
Actually, there is something
you're
which
cutting.
Very humorous about this thing. Okay.
Your network seems to be. Yeah,
I don't
we
know.
can hear you, but you're cutting. Yeah.
There is some issue, I think, today.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear now?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, the funny thing about this is that people who do not believe in God and they promote this idea, what are they doing actually? What are they doing? Ultimately, they are making it a law for everyone that there is no God. Right? So then, what is the difference? I mean, why person has to believe then? It's your idea. It's my idea is different from your idea. And there can be unlimited ideas like that. Why a person has to accept that particular idea? If there is no universal controller, then the same problem is in a philosophy of different regions also. Like, for example, there is a philosophy which says that there is no God, there is no controller as such. All of us are God, actually. I mean, they say like that. All of us can become God and no one can control us. Okay. But if you do not follow a particular system, a particular process or a path, then you cannot become God. Okay. So the very fact that a person is saying, if you do not follow this, you will suffer. it means that someone else has already made it a law that if you do not follow this path, then you'll suffer. And then it becomes a universal principle for them. But now they are saying, so they are contradicting themselves. They are first saying that there is a universal law. If you do not follow this, you'll suffer. But then they are also saying no one can control us. Right? So if no one can control you, then why are you following that path? And why are you afraid? If you do not follow that path, you will suffer. Why are you afraid? So basically, the thing is that every person in the material world, they have the right to conceptualize something. They have the right to create something, create their own ideas. I have my idea, but you can also create your own idea. Why should I agree with your idea? And even if I agree with your idea, why should I impose it on others? See, you can only impose the idea to others if you are the controller of that idea. I mean, you know for sure that if they do not follow this, okay, then they will suffer for it. I have designed in such a way that they will suffer for it. So you become the controller. So ultimately what you are establishing is that you are becoming the absolute controller. So even atheism or whichever part it is, what you are doing is you are just imposing the idea that you want to become the controller. So when you try to convince people that be an atheist or there is no God, what are you doing? You are imposing your ideas on them. You are trying to convince them. And even if they do not accept the idea, if you say that, okay, if you do not accept the idea, then you'll have to suffer. That means that you are imposing on others that there is a universal process that one has to follow, which is completely wrong. It is contradicting your own theory. So you see, this is the major drawback and defect of some philosophies or religions, because they contradict themselves. They say that we can all become God, but at the same time, when we talk about individuality, that I am individual, you are individual, why I should follow what Shankaracharya says, what Buddha says? Why should I follow what the Tirthankars of the Jain say? They want to make it a universal concept, a universal process, that if you do not follow this path, then you will suffer for it. And then they would want to deny the fact that there is absolute controller. So this is contradiction. Whereas in our Vedic culture, we say that, yeah, the absolute controller is definitely there. And if you do not follow the path, then we'll suffer for it. And we accept the fact that we are actually controlled by someone.
It's interesting. You brought up Shankaracharya, you brought up Buddha, and you brought up Jains, Tirthankaras. So in all the followers of all these three great personalities, they want to follow the path that's given by them. But it's interesting that, so in our tradition, like in the Vaishnava tradition, there is this principle of having faith in the Guru and God. So in these counter traditions, you see like the followers seem to have faith in the Guru, but not in God, because that is how it's being promoted to them, or that's how it's being taught. Although what's interesting is the proponents of these traditions, they themselves never vehemently denied God. You see, but the followers, they have excluded those parts. Like we know this, right? Shankaracharya, he in his prayers, in his like those famous lines that Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Mudamate. So he's actually telling his followers that this is what will actually give you benefit, and all your word jugglery is going to take you down. It's going to take your efforts down the drain. So they're saying that, but the followers seem to have just, they want to ignore that part completely. And, everything is one. That is what it comes down to.
Yeah. So basically, one thing is that there is a reciprocation in each and every religion, because without reciprocation, no one can advance in that particular path. It's not possible. So if you say that, okay, only Sanatan Dharma is the only path, or Jainism is the only path, or Buddhism is the only path, that means other paths do not work. which is not the truth. Because when you talk about the universal principle has to be accommodative. It has to be all encompassing, right? So and it, the compassion of the universal person is unlimited. Okay, that means he is willing to accept everyone from different ways. This is what also Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita. Ultimately, indirectly, everyone is actually worshipping me only. So this is a common sense thing. When you have a universal father, the universal father will have a universal principle for everyone. So this particular, that's why you'll see that whoever is following different paths and religions, they will also make advancement in their path if they follow it strictly and sincerely with honesty. Okay. And another point I would like to convey is that you'll see that in spite of all these paths, even if you are disconnected, if you are not connected spiritually, one thing is very common. That common thing is that bhakti is the constitutional position of a living entity. It's a very big statement, but it's a eternal truth. Bhakti is actually the constitutional position. That's why it is supposed to be scientific. Now, like for example, you spoke about child taking birth, and then later on the child receives the name, and then the child also does some activity in the material world. He also assumes a identification in the material world. That such and such person, he's working here, and then he has a house here, and then these are the activities and characteristics of that person. So when you describe all these things, why a person is supposed to do these things in the material world? Why? For a simple reason, because we all want to have loving relationships. We all want to experience bliss in this world. And the meaning of bliss basically means bhakti, devotional service. Because when you want to see, the only factor that causes bliss is that you attain it from a person. You cannot attain bliss from any objects. Now, if you have the richest, the most expensive car in the entire world, but you have no one to share with, no one to, there's no one to glorify you, there's no one to praise you, no one to appreciate you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You are going to feel pathetic about it, because you cannot show off, you cannot share with others your experience, your emotions. That's why the reason that people are working in the material world, they have relationships in the material world, because they all want to exchange relationships. They all want to exchange loving relationship with everyone. They want to, and that causes them bliss. Finally, we can attain bliss because we are connected to others. Okay, that is the source of happiness, and that's why it's very natural to say that bhakti becomes a constitutional position of living entity. You remove bhakti, then bliss goes away, because you cannot actually exchange your emotions, sentiments, views with others. You cannot. So that is the only thing which is actually making us happy in this world. That's why bhakti is a constitutional position of the living entity. And being the constitutional position, it is natural. Whatever we are doing in this material world, it means that it should continue in the spiritual world also. It should continue later on also. Constitutional position means it is eternal. It is forever. And when you say that it is forever or eternal, it means that no matter where you are, what you are doing, it should continue at all place, times, and circumstances. And that means there is life after death. And after death, you are going to also continue the same activity. Otherwise, our identity in this world, or the fact that the soul is existing, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. That's why this particular reasoning also, it is, it's a scientific reasoning. Why bhakti is a scientific process is because bhakti is actually the constitutional position of a living entity. That itself is a science. Science means you are experiencing and you are observing, and then you are seeing the results. You are, whatever experiments you are doing, and you are seeing the results. So similarly, when you say that bhakti is a constitutional position of living entity, it means that I want to be happy at all point of times. And by extending relationships, I am seeing that, I am observing that I am always happy. So there is no physical science involved with the concept of devotional service or bhakti. It has to be experienced. A person needs to experience within himself. It's not that I can prove what is my bhakti level, what is my bhakti grade. Okay. But a person has to experience it. And then obviously with faith, see, when you see that whatever symptoms are described as a stage of Shraddha, they are all happening. They are all, you are seeing those, you are observing those. So then you move forward, sadhu sang, then bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti nishtha. When you are successful in these stages, what does that mean? With time, when you come to the state of bhav, you will see the Lord. So seeing the Lord means actually reciprocation, getting first-hand experience of the Lord's reciprocation. That's why this direct experience is the key element. It's not just about seeing the Lord. It is about experiencing his reciprocation. I mean, see, there are, let me tell you one more thing. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Sandarbha is also mentioned that there are people in this world who have seen the Lord. They are still seeing the Lord. It's a fact. Okay. And I would also like to add over it that even in ISKCON or any other Vaishnava, bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya, there are pure devotees who have seen the Lord and who are seeing the Lord. They are not just revealing it because of humility or because of, they would like to preserve their own private relationship with the Lord. They don't want to make it like a show off or something. Okay, they don't want to show it off to people. So that's why they are actually keeping it very private. But yes, people have seen the Lord.
But Prabhuji, sharing it will be so inspirational to everyone else. Huh?
See what now, okay, the idea is that we hear a lot of things which are inspiring, but the problem is that are we implementing those things? Implementation and inspiring things, there is a lot of difference. So, okay, I share my experience with you, it may inspire you, but whether you are willing to undergo that sacrifice, whether you are willing to surrender yourself to the Lord, that's a completely different thing. So that involves your free will and following the orders and instructions of superiors. That requires a lot of courage. That requires a lot of surrender. To surrender the ego is actually the biggest challenge.
Yes, surely. But it is that association when you get, so that association rubs on to you. Just like in cricket, it is said that when one batsman starts hitting very well, the non-striker automatically feels depressurized and he also comes into the flow.
Yeah, that's true.
Hitting very well.
So
it rubs on to each other.
Yeah. But see, that is true. There is no doubt about it. But the thing is that what we have to understand is things do not happen automatically. Even if you are in association of a pure devotee, like there were Prabhupada disciples had direct contact with Srila Prabhupada. Many years they had direct contact with Prabhupada. But later on, they were not able to continue the regulative principles also. So they had, they kind of left the process in between because they were not able to follow the regulative principles. So in spite of having direct contact with a pure devotee, they were not able to continue. And Prabhupada also gave example that, even a fly takes association of the king. The fly can actually sit over the head of the king on a throne. But what the fly is going to do? The fly is always going to disturb the king by making sound. Okay. So association, Prabhupada said that you have to be like fire. If you want to be with fire, you have to be like fire. Otherwise, you will get burned off. Okay. So that thing we have to always Remember, and nothing happens automatically, because Krishna wants to, he wants you to use your free will. He wants to give you credit for your efforts, and he wants you to make the effort. It's not that, yeah, there are very rare cases, very rare circumstances where a devotee or the Lord will directly bestow mercy. Okay, the Lord will say something, I bless you that you will attain me in this life. So then this, a person can, right from, even if he's at the state of Shraddha, he can come to the state of Prema immediately, because the Lord desired that, or the devotees desired that. So that is special mercy. That's Kripa Siddh. Okay, you receive the special mercy of a devotee or the Lord, but this is very rare. And yeah, so the Lord, in general, the Lord wants the devotees to make effort, and he wants to see you surrender out of your free will voluntarily. Not that, okay, he just does the thing magic, and there is no fun in that. So the Lord wants us to put in efforts. So see, this is what, it's a very natural thing in the material world also. When you see that a child is naturally putting efforts and is gradually coming up, you will feel maximum enjoyment through that, maximum happiness. And this is exactly the Lord wants to also do, right? So how much you are using your free will to surrender to the process, to the devotees, that depends on you completely. So that it's not that things will open automatically. You may get the advantage and opportunity. You may be very fortunate to have the association of advanced Vaishnavas. But unless and until you accept their instructions, you follow their process, it's things are not going to happen automatically. So basically, see, a speaker should be pure, okay, and audience, if they are pure, then that connection will be quick. The advancement will be quick. But if it is one-sided, if the speaker is pure, the audience is completely impure, they are not even they do not even have faith in the words of the scriptures, then the same Bhagavatam will not appear to them in a favorable way. So similarly, when a speaker is not pure, a speaker is tinted with the philosophy of Mayavadism, and the audience is completely pure, although it is coming from the mouth of a pure, impure person, from a Mayavadi or from atheist, or whoever it is, it is coming from that person. If our audience is pure, then they can relish the Bhagavatam. So for example, Srivas Thakur, when he heard Bhagavatam from Devananda Pandit, even though Devananda Pandit was a Mayavadi, and it is actually mentioned in the scriptures that if you hear from someone who is offensive, or he's materialistic, or who has ulterior motive, if you hear from them, then the same Bhagavatam will become poison. Okay. Although Bhagavatam is completely pure, but it also depends on who is transmitting the knowledge. So, and the example is given that it will appear like a serpent, it will appear like milk, or to taste like milk, which is touched by the serpent who has released the poison in the milk. Okay. So this is the example that the scriptures share. So when you are completely pure, if you are like a pure devotee at the state of Prema and Nityasiddha, then no matter whatever the external circumstances, your consciousness will be fixed. It will not affect you. That's why the Bhagavatam spoken for any person will be like nectar for you. But for someone who is not at that stage, they have to put efforts. They have to have faith. Okay. So similarly for the speaker also, if the speaker is completely pure, no matter whoever the audience is, he is able to inject Krishna consciousness in the heart of the audience. Okay. In spite of their unwillingness. So he can bestow that mercy. But if the speaker is not pure, then he cannot do that. So everyone has their gradation for transmission of spiritual knowledge. And especially in order to have an effect or transformation on people's heart, they have to have certain purity. Yeah, so this is the thing. You have to make efforts for it. Yeah, so association can be fruitful only when you put additional efforts for it.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, so any other question or comment? Yeah, so I hope that at least what the information that I've shared is basically about bhakti as being a scientific process, and there are stages connected with bhakti, so one has to experiment that. So I hope this is clear. If there are any questions about that, then we can discuss. Any comments?
Maybe Prabhuji, if we have more questions, can we follow up on this in the coming week? Is that okay?
I mean, it all depends, like, how many questions you have. If you have more questions, then we can have another session. If you have one or two questions, we can cover it now.
I was thinking of, sharing this with some people of the younger generation and getting their views and maybe something like that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so what you're saying is that this particular talk show you'll share with younger people, and based if they have interest, if they have questions, then we can have another session.
Yeah, probably yes. Or if just there are only maybe minors, a few questions which require some authoritative answering, then maybe I could put them across to you, and at any time feasible for you, you could revert.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it all depends on how many questions you have. If there are multiple questions, then we can have another session also. Definitely.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So thank you all for joining. So now we'll disconnect. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna.